We provide and support scholarships. We have a scholarship right now that was funded through Hard Rock. Any student in Gary public school, Gary private school, home school, if you're in Gary and you want to go to college and go to IUN, tuition is full ride. Say full ride. At IUN. Where's IUN? Look at IUN. And where's Hard Rock? Where's Hard Rock? Those are my friends over there. They made a commitment. So we're going to move further in our services, and I would like to call, before I do that, there were some, well, I'm just going to count to 10. Backwards. So everyone can pay attention. I'll act like I'm a teacher. Everybody see my hand? Thank you so much. There were some elected officials that I did not see because I didn't bring my glasses. So I would like those elected officials that are here, please stand. Shauna, I see you. Maryville, please stand up. Carolyn Jackson, please stand. All of you there, thank you so much. Absolutely. And there's some additional. Tell me. Thank you so much.
John Doherty.
John Doherty, thank you. I always want to make sure that I acknowledge those hard workers that are in the fields that are working with our communities. Right now, without further ado, I'm going to bring my friend, my colleague, my mentor, the one who keeps me on track and supports me at every level, Mr. Mike Suggs. Would you come on up and introduce our speaker, please?
Good afternoon. I have the pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker for today. Our keynote speaker is Mr. Ken Owama. Ken served as Chancellor of Indiana University Northwest since 2020. He now serves as Vice President of Regional Campuses and Online Education for Indiana University in Bloomington. So, Dr. McLeod, I did it. I checked the box and said everything you wanted me to say. I'm going to take a little privilege and share a little bit more about my friend Ken. I met Vice President Owama during the evaluation process when we were searching for Chancellor at IU Northwest in 2019. After several days of interviews, I remember Chancellor Owama coming into the room, and it was like a unicorn had came. This man had everything. He had knowledge, he had pizzazz, and he changed the whole line of what we were looking at. And I am just so proud of what Ken has done for Indiana University Northwest and what he has done for the Urban League of Northwest Indiana, and I'm looking forward to what he's going to do at Indiana University. And so I want to bring to you my friend, Ken Owama.
So I already gave my apologies to the IU Northwest table because they thought they got rid of me and hearing my speeches. But now I got them again. So you're gonna have to sit and listen to me. So just so you know, I went back and I said, if the crowd gets louder, make my microphone louder, right? So just be cautious in terms of the noise level. So really quick, before I start, I was appointed in July of this past July. And now Indiana University is undefeated in football. Yeah. Is that a coincidence? Give me all the credit. And so sorry for Purdue. I'm just kidding. I know the chancellor's here. So thank you, Michael Suggs. Thanks to Dr. McLeod. Thanks to Chair Davis, the Executive Board, and the Board of Directors of the Urban League. I was given my orders by Dr. McLeod too to be very succinct in my 12 minutes up on stage. So that succinct has other meanings. You better get off, right? Okay. So today I'm going to a little talk about leadership, right? And I'm going to do it in which we celebrate here today, right, with our awards. But I'm going to do it in the context of higher education and diversity through the lens of a personal story, right? My personal story, which I have to tell you, I have in the past, I really don't talk about my personal story and my family and things like that. I try to keep that out, but I'm finding more and more that it's a better way to connect with people in personal stories. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about that, and I'm going to start, oh, there we go. Voice, passion, and TSATs, right? What does that mean? Well, everybody knows the voice and passion piece. I will talk about TSATs in a second, how this relates to what I was talking about. So a little bit about me, right? To be an effective leader, you have to have an authentic voice. You really do. It's the only way you can effectively lead, right? College, this is why I love higher education, college gave me my voice, right? And what do I mean by that? Where I grew up, right? I grew up in New Jersey, right? And we were only one of two Asian families in our community, right? One of two Asian families in a non-diverse community, right? And so my voice growing up was one of desperate assimilation, right? Nobody wants to be different when they're growing up. And so assimilation into the majority was the mindset as I grew up as a kid. And then my voice wasn't authentic, it wasn't myself, it was one of imitation, right? And so college freed me from all that. College freed me from it. And I went to the University of New Hampshire as an English major, and for the first time, I was immersed in an academic environment, exposed to the written words of Black, Latino, Asian, and Native American authors, right? And listening to their voices of their experience helped me find my voice as an Asian American. And that is the beautiful gift of higher education, right? We don't talk about that enough, right? Let me jump now to, though, passion, okay? The thing about voice, when you find your authentic voice, you kind of hone in on your passions, because you're real to yourself, so you can find out really what motivates you and what drives you. And so, also in college, right, during this time period, I was exposed for the first time to the intricacies of the civil rights movement, right? And I remember where this quote came from, actually. I was thinking about this today. We came with a companion book to the Eyes on the Prize documentary back in 1987, right? And so, for those who don't know who the quote is attributed to, that's Charles Hamilton Houston. He was the dean of Howard University Law School. He was the first general counsel to the NAACP and mentor to Supreme Court Justice Thurgood Marshall, as long as many others. And so, look at that quote. That's pretty intense, isn't it? Right? It's a little scary, actually, right? Because there's really no middle ground. Either you're a social engineer doing good work for your communities, or you're a parasite on society, right? And so, you know, as a young person, that kind of gravitated me, that severity of you got to do one or you got to do the other, right? And so, my path, I became a lawyer, right? And never to the status of Charles Hamilton Houston or many of his proteges, but tried to make that path towards macro change, right? And so one of my jobs, those significant jobs early on in my career, was general counsel of the Jersey City Board of Education, right? Second largest school district in New Jersey. We had about 35,000 students, urban district. First school district in the country to be taken over by the state, right? And so part of our work was putting it back to local control, and which happened in 2022. Then I said, you know, I want to work in higher education. So I moved over and started as a director of diversity and compliance with the City University of New York. Huge, right? It is the engine of opportunity in New York City, the City University of New York. I was at the College of Staten Island and moved up, became the Vice President for Economic Development, Continuing Studies, and Government Relations, right? And it was there, really at that institution, that I first saw it. I saw the power of higher education institutions in changing the lives of students family, and communities, right? And so during that process, I sat back at some point in time and said, you know, I think I want to lead a university, right? I think I want to be a leader in university. I don't necessarily want to ask permission anymore. Little do we know when you work in a system, there's even more permission you get. Right? But I wanted to be able to take this mission and move it forward in a vision that I thought resonated with those around me, and I want to be able to take the lead on that. And so I did have some obstacles, right? And so this is an article on the Chronicle of Higher Education from 2013, just about the time I was thinking, I want to be a leader of a higher education institution. And at that time, as is today, the percentage of Asian American chancellors and presidents back then was just about 2%. So you hire 100 presidents, you hire 100 chancellors, 2 of them are probably going to be Asian American. I don't know how many people like to bet, but those aren't great odds, right? But other administrators of color in higher education, not too dissimilar, right? So it is a history that in some ways continues today in higher education. So, you know, could this be a barrier to a dream? Well, not if you have help, right? And so my president, when I was thinking about this, these are some of the programs that I was exposed to and I was allowed to participate in. And this is a great one. ASKU, the Millennium Leadership Institute, right? And if you look at that mission statement up there, America needs college and university presidents, chancellors to reflect our nation's diversity. The Millennium Leadership Initiative accelerates that process. And I put those 2 pictures above because little did I know back in 2014, these are 2 former chancellors for IU. Charlie Names and F.C. Richardson. They were the founders of this program. Didn't even know about IU back then. But the connections, well, all roads back to IU, by the way. So just so you know that. Oh, by the way, I'm now part of the steering committee for that program, right? And so I help now go through the applications, and we appoint those who are going through that program. So it's a part of giving back that I'm really happy to be part of. So what was the outcome of that? That and many other programs? Well, this is a good, that was from our my last commencement that I did, right? And so, as Michael said, I had the honor, and trust me, tremendous honor, of becoming the 7th Chancellor of IU Northwest. And IU Northwest changed my life. Changed my life. I'll tell you that right now. It defined my passion and purpose as well too. It became hyper-focused that I wanted to help the socio-economic mobility of our students. And there's a second part to that, right? All our first generation diverse, all our regional students that, but for our campuses, would have not been able to have any opportunity for higher education, right? But the second part of that is also to help build communities, right? So uplifting students, uplifting families and generation students is inextricably tied to the growth of our communities before. And so when that light went on, that became the hyper focus for me in terms of dedicating my professional life to this mission. And I'll use hand gestures, right? Because I'm from the East Coast originally. So, you know, most universities, a lot of universities, right, do this. They move the students from here to here. The regional campuses, and I'm going to include Purdue, Ivy Tech, some of our, we do this. Who is making the real impact across our country, right? Who is really driving American democracy in this country? And I would argue it's our regional campuses. That is our mission, and this is the mission that we are fulfilling. Only one thing could probably have pulled me away from, and did, from being Chancellor of IU Northwest. And that was the opportunity that I have now to do the same thing for 5 regional campuses. All right? So, well, let me just say this. Your voice and your passion, not enough, right? That is kind of like yourself. On your voice, you got your passion. Really, this is it. This is from your TSAT. And before you cart me off the stage, think I'm crazy, well, let me explain this to you. Voice and passion alone is not enough. You need to share it, as we do in this room. You need others to see the value of it, that value narrative. And then through your leadership, you get people to come together to advance it, right? And so why is that the symbolism of tea set so important? Well, this is a quick story. That's my father, circa 1943, right? In Japan. 1943 for your history buffs, that's when the tide really started to turn against Japan, right? And my father, at this time, 13 years old, started to feel, I mean, he was poor to begin with, so he felt the impact of poverty. But as the ravages war started approaching, it really hit home, right? In terms of how it affected him, how it affected his family. Even back then, those around him were thinking, my father's journey probably should be in America. Even in the midst of war, they're thinking this, because he was a bright student, and they didn't want to see this lost opportunity of somebody dying in the war. So they protected him from the war, and they had this thought process that they would send him to America, right? And to specifically attend higher education institutions in America. But there are tremendous challenges, right? And I think he intuitively knew this as well, too. First of all, new land, new culture, right? He didn't speak a word of English, right, in Japan. And at that time, when he finally came to the United States, 1949, there had been a history of, there had already been a history of anti-Japanese sentiment, right? And so this is a picture I'm sharing with you right now. And so that picture all the way to the left of the screen is actually his uncle who supported him and sponsored him in coming to this country, right? And 4 years before this picture was taken, they were carted off, and that's one of the trains that actually took people from California to the internment camp in Arizona, right? And on the bottom right is the internment camp that they were owned a chicken farm, they're very successful, everything was taken away from them, everything, they lost everything. And the smallest cousin of my father was born actually in the Gila concentration camp, internment camp in Arizona. So that's where my father is. Oh, by the way, the second tallest young man over there, he grew up to be a lawyer, and he actually led the reparations movement for Japanese Americans successfully. So I think my father had an intuitive sense of this, and so I'm going to show you something that my son pulled up. This is the flight manifesto from 1949, October 1949. My father going from Tokyo to Anchorage, his first stop in his journey to California. And it's hard to see, but in the second column to the right, he's the third person down. The second column to the right, there is a number of packages that you're taking. And so he brought 5 with him, right? 4 were this very small, I mean, they're not really even packages, they're in suitcases, like little bundles that he brought with him. But the 5th was very intentional, and that was a tea set, right? Given to him because he couldn't afford it. Some benefactor gave it to him. And so why would he take the time with the 5 packages to bring a tea set with him? Well, it was partly because of his voice and his passion for Japan, right? The value of Japanese tradition and culture beyond war to share and connect it with Americans, connecting our 2 cultures. And, you know, he eventually got to do it actually multiple times. That's a picture of him performing when he came to the United States, performing the tea ceremony, intricate tea ceremony in San Francisco. But it's not just the tea setting. It's what it symbolized for him, because he became very successful, right? He became very successful in the United States. And a lot of that success had to do with his ability to connect. He's an engineer, taking his passions as an engineer and being able to lead groups of people, which became executive of Bell Labs, AT&T, the greatest research hub in the United States history, probably. And so any success that I have had at IU Northwest, right, and is following that model. It's connecting the voice and passion of myself, our team, our students, our faculty, staff, connecting that to our communities, right? Showing our value, our mission of what we do, and showing value in our mission, and then creating partnerships along the way, and funding, and all these things that come to institutions when you show them the value. So that's tea setting. Right? That's why I said that's probably the critical 1/3 of voice, passion, T setting. But we're not doing enough. Right? We're not doing enough. And so this is another article from the New York Times. Americans losing faith in the value of college. Right? So why are they losing faith in higher education? And this is the narrative across the country. It's because we lost the narrative, right? We lost the narrative. Hey, higher education too expensive. Higher education, there's no return on investment. You're wasting your time, right? Don't go to college. Oh, these are places of indoctrination, right? They tell you how to think. They tell you how to think, right, at university. Whose fault is this narrative that's going around? Well, frankly, I'll point at myself. I'll point at my colleague chancellors and presidents. We have let this narrative go crazy, and we have not done nothing to stop it from my perspective, not enough to stop it, right? Locally, internally, people know our value. We haven't told about our value nationally, right? What is that really? Low cost, right? 60% of our students don't have to pay a dime after they're done, have no debt whatsoever, right? And that's a lot of our other campuses as well too, other institutions as well too. Return on degree, some of the highest returns on degree because there's no debt, right? It's an IU degree, right? You leave with the Indiana University degree, and you have this great degree, great faculty members, great programs, and no debt, right? And then, far from indoctrination, we grow critical thinkers, which is probably the most important thing that we need for leadership.
Yes.
Right? Critical thinking, testing things. Don't believe everything somebody tells you. Let's test it out. But mostly, the bottom line, the social, economic mobility of our students. For them, their families, and for generations to have. My father, first generation, right? Every one of his children and grandchildren have gone to college, right? He started that pathway to follow and then transcend for his generations to come. That is the power of TSET, right? Of higher education. Boy, is this kind of parallel to the diversity and inclusion work that we do as well too? Right? The same things facing higher education, facing our work, that everyone here comes together to celebrate today. So, leadership in these areas, and we're celebrating leaders today, right? We're giving awards, we've seen them on stage, they're in your chairs. Everybody here is a leader in their own way, right? But it's becoming increasingly difficult to lead. Really hard being a leader these days, right? New pressures, economic, social, political. Another article from New York Times, right? Want to be a college president? Hundreds of openings. People are leaving. People are leaving. They're done with it. They're done with the pressures. They're done with the criticism. They're done with the conflict, right? So I tell, in that MLI program, students come to me and says, why should I become a chancellor or president? I say, your leadership's needed more than ever. Especially if you're good and you have something to bring and you believe in that mission, it is even more important to throw your hat in the ring these days. And so I think about the Diversity Inclusion Award winners today, and again, the other leaders in this room, how stressful and more difficult our work has become. Stressful and difficult. I know it. Trust me, I know it personally. But what kind of greater impact can be made in this time? And if you look at that quote, I mean, that is just, for those who can't read in the back, I'm going to read really quick. So this was a quote from the Vanderbilt president, university's chancellor. And it says, despite the turmoil, Daniel Dermeyer, Vanderbilt University's chancellor believes the urgent demands today could ultimately make the jobs more gratifying. You'd much rather be a prime minister of Britain in 43 than 53, he said. If you go in this direction, don't you want to do it when it matters? Yes, it's more difficult. Yes, it's more stressful. But after all, we want to have an impact, right? And when the stakes are high, your leadership means more. You're needed more than ever. I hope you find your TSET. Thank you for welcoming me home. It's been great to be here.
Thank you so much, Ken. Very much. our presentations very quickly. We're going to speed grade. You know how to use speed date? I'll say that. Well, I have a husband now. Story right quick. My friend, Mike Suggs, my colleague, I used to kind of borrow him because he's married to Burley. And so I would be the third person because I didn't have a husband. And then Mayor Melton, before he became mayor, I used to borrow him. So I would call the house and Eddie, mayor, would answer the phone. He wasn't mayor then. And I would say, hey, Eddie. I said, where's Crystal? And so he gives the phone to Crystal. And I say, Crystal, I need to talk to your husband for about 15 minutes. And she's like, well, you were just talking to him. No, you're the wife. I'm single and I'm cute. And then I would call Mike's house, and Mike answered the phone. I said, where's Burley? Here's Burley. I said, Burley, I need to come to your house. Can I come to your house? And Burley says, what? You just come in the door. Just what do you want to eat? I said, I'm cute, and I'm coming, and I need you to cook. So I was supposed to go. I have my own husband now. Y'all pray. Okay, so all was speed racing, right? So Taggy, would you come on up to the stage, please, and introduce our committee, and we're going to start with our awards. And thank you all for your patience. I'm so glad you're here. Taggy.
Thank you, Dr. McCall, and thank you for being here. Really, it's great to see you. I heard earlier, or I saw earlier, there are a lot of you that are first-timers here. I do want to welcome you, and hopefully you will continue this journey over the years. Let me introduce myself, and my name is Taggy Al-Shami. I chair Diversity and Inclusion, Equity and Inclusion Committee, Review Committee. It has been a pleasure for the last, I think, maybe 8 years that I've been the chair, 7 years. She's younger than me, so she knows how many years. But it adds up. Every year it adds up. It is much more pleasurable. And this year actually is very, very exciting. For the first time in several years, I think it was 4 years due to COVID, we are actually have nomination in all 7 categories of awards that we have. And that is a really great achievement for us, for the committee that I chair. And I do want to take this time, ask all the committee members to stand up and be recognized. I know Danny was running around and collecting some money. Since we do have a large number of new individuals supporting us, I want to take a couple of seconds, I know we don't have that much time, just to tell you what the process has been. And we normally announce this in sometimes in March or April, that these awards are available, encouraged. We do know, based on variety of evidence that we have a lot of unsung heroes, and you know many of them in your communities, but nobody sort of pursued that. So we are looking for those, and we announce it, and our committee members review their applications. Sometimes they hold their hands and supporting to make the applications. They discuss it, they review those applications for their merits, and then they select the last 7 candidates. And these categories range from community support or community impact to youth organizations, to variety of types of businesses that really attempt to do workforce diversity. And then not the least of that is we do have also looked for somebody that has all of their lives have contributed to our lives, to our communities, and we grant that person a Lifetime Achievement Award. That's the sort of the nugget of all of these 7 categories that we have. Without further discussions, I'm gonna ask for this year, we have each individual is gonna come forward. Before the award, we do have a video that I would like to direct your attention to that video. It gives you a little bit more information about the organizations. We do also have information in your booklet if you want to read more about that particular organization. I'm going to turn it to Vanessa and Dr. Gutierrez and Ms. Perez. I don't know where she is.
Mina?
Mina, yes. And they're going to follow up. Thank you.
Thank you, Tabby. 8 years, so we've been with me for 9 years. I hold on to people when they come on the board, so be careful, I may be calling you. The Community Impact Award is going to be presented to the Women's Care Center. The Women's Care Center, since 1984, serves the community to build family with women-centered and life-affirming model. It exists to give women the opportunity to choose life. Their professional staff provides resources to serve women and their babies cradle to kindergarten. Women's Care Center locations are in Hammond, LaPorte, Maryville, and Michigan City. They deliver care that includes pregnancy tests, ultrasounds, parenting classes, adoption, support, mental health counseling, and emergency supplies. Please watch the video.
About 6 years now, since I was pregnant with my younger daughter, Mila. The reason why I came was to get a free ultrasound, and I had heard really good things about the Women's Care Center. Again, I've been coming here for about 6 years. I have been able to do things like not have to buy diapers at all for either of my children because I go to meetings every single time they have a meeting. I have been committed to going there because of the fact of being a lower income family. Things like diapers and wipes and swings and all kinds of baby things can get very expensive. So in order to save my family some money, I've decided to go to some place like that. But the biggest thing that I've been able to get out of the Women's Care Center is the fact of community. I love that other women come there and we get to talk about basic mom stuff. Let out our feelings, talk to other people, get to know other people. I've made a couple of friends from there, stuff like that. So the free diapers, the free wipes, the free bassinet, the free swing, the free clothes, all of the free baby stuff that I've been able to get is really just the perks on top of the community that they offer there. So I love the Women's Care Center, and I will continue to go back even after I don't need diapers, just because of the fact that I have somewhere as an outlet for myself. So thank you, Women's Care Center, and
Women's Care Center. Dr. Linda Dunn, would you please come up and join them? Dr. Linda Dunn is one of our committee members on the diversity committee, and she went and helped them provide their information in order to receive this. You never know who may need candles. And this one just had a baby. How old is the baby? 5.5 months.
Just a little bit more. That's fine. All right, here we go. Look right here. 3, 2, and 1. Hold it. One more. 3, 2, and 1.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Our next award, we're going to have Rebecca Reiner come. And the awards are beautiful. Look at them. Michelle Golden, are you still here, Michelle? Stand up, Michelle. Michelle Golden takes care of our awards every year. Give her a round of applause.
Hello again. It's my honor to present the Urban League's Workforce Impact Award for Diversity and Inclusion in the Workplace to Neighborhood House. I have a personal investment in this. My father actually was walking the neighborhoods near the old campus of Valparaiso University, and in response to families that said we need childcare, found an old Moody laboratory and said, why not? Let's make this a childcare center. Long story short, under great leadership, the Hilltop Neighborhood House for 25 years, or since 1995, has strived to create a cohesive and inclusive workforce from all socioeconomic and educational, racial and ethnic backgrounds. I'm sorry, I'm out of breath. One that reflects the communities they serve. This well-established organization of 22 staff members and dozens of volunteers is strengthened by its thoughtful, detailed, and fair process that ensures underrepresented populations have a seat at the table and opportunities to grow in their leadership capacity. We have a video?
Video.
And then they should start coming on up.
It's community feel of it. It's not just about what we're doing inside the building, it's about the community, the Hilltop community, the city of Valparaiso, the city of Indiana as a whole. Everyone's welcome. We're doing what we can as a whole community.
My favorite thing about Hilltop coming from a Chicago child care program to Valpo is the inclusivity. You guys are inclusive with staff, what Jesse said, but now we have special needs. We have a program that has different outlooks for different programs to help out with Hilltop. So I like that we have different helpers.
I think Hilltop is not a child care, it is a development center. So, and it's a really big thing about the kids and teacher, staff, and we work like a team, not a workplace. And then it is not only the workplace, we get lots of environment and then different things too, opportunities. We have insurance, and then we get free stuff, free lunch, we keep, and then sometimes we get together, all of those. It's really very
All right, now this question is for the group, so you can just feel free to answer. We're going to talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion at work. And there's a lot of things that we could do better at Hilltop, but we have to make a conscious effort to do this, especially within our community, so that we make sure the community, I mean Hilltop. So I'm going to ask you a couple questions, and you just feel free to answer them. There's no right or wrong answer. How does diversity, equity, and inclusion impact your role and responsibilities within preschool setting as a teacher? What do you think your role is in that?
I think as an educator, especially of young children, people like to say kids don't see race. They do. They see the differences and they see them from each other. And I think as educators are now to be able to teach them that those differences, yes, they're important, but they don't matter. That each person can still do whatever they want, whatever they can, as well as the next person, despite all the differences. So I think it's really important for kids to see adults in positions of being teachers or being
The next award is the Urban League's Award for Diversity and Inclusion as a leadership of diversity and inclusion. From its humble beginnings in 1969, Project Neighbors has actively addressed issues of race, class, and poverty in the Valparaiso community, a sundown town, until 1968. Project Neighbors has led the charge in creating affordable housing in Valparaiso, primarily for African American and other families of color. Relying on a dedicated army of volunteers, Project Neighbors has created hundreds of residencies, houses, duplexes, single-unit studios, and 2 respite houses. 5 years ago, Black members of the board of directors, staff, and others also formed the Freedom Recovery Fund to explicitly focus on the building of Black wealth and closing the growing gap and addressing policies, practices that led to systemic issues and racial inequality. Finally, Project Neighbors has been an incubator and a parent to many organizations such as Hilltop Neighborhood House. These organizations have addressed issues in the community that build community and address disparities. These offsprings include, in addition to Neighborhood House, HealthLink, NEO, the Valparaiso Human Relations Council, WVLP radio station, and other initiatives such as Allies Against Racism, Blackwater, and the Agenda for the Community, for a Better Community. All of this was achieved through the efforts of volunteers, board members, and partners. It was only in the last few years that there was a paid staff for this organization. This organization truly embodies Margaret Mead's quote, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world." Indeed, it is the only thing that has. Video.
A barren, rock-strewn former industrial site on the southern edge of town. Can you dream? Can you imagine what is possible? The co-founder of Project Neighbors, Walt Reiner, said, "I decided that for me, it's not about power, it's not about reputation, it's not about money. If you give up the desire for those things, the whole world is open to you and you can accomplish anything." With his vision and love thy neighbor as a guiding principle, Project Neighbors has for 54 years made reality out of dreams.
It was bitterly cold. There was a family that lived down the street in 505 Indiana, I believe. And Walt Reiner was up in age, he was in his 80s. I passed by in my car and saw him on a ladder in freezing cold trying to fix a gutter. I think it was the Alabama. And it was just interesting to see him at that age, in that kind of field, still trying to meet the goals of restoration and to be helpful of a neighbor in that kind of condition. Shortly after that, he died. So it was interesting to see a guy who has spent his lifetime trying to make a difference in some families' lives.
Project Neighbors has a history of responding to needs that nobody else is taking care of. That's everything from housing to child care to health care to publicity to public radio to education and beyond.
The first families to be part of the dream became part of the Valpo community in the late 60s and 70s. The Barbara Cotton House was built by Walt and university and community volunteers. Other houses were low-cost existing houses. Project Neighbors volunteers have built or rehabbed over 100 housing units, affordable by families who could not afford the ever-increasing local market rates.
Please join me in honoring my mother, Lois Small Watkins, on the board of directors, and Jeff Steiner.
I'd just like to say that back in the day, I used to work at Valparaiso at the Youth Service Bureau, and I had the honor of meeting Walt Reiner, and I also worked in the Valparaiso schools and had the opportunity of working with the children of the descendants of the Cotton family. So again, let's give them a round of applause. Good afternoon, my name is Dr. Lackey, and I'm here to present the Youth Award. I'd like to say that the Youth Award is going to go to the Junior Achievement of Chicago and Northwest Indiana. But before we invite them up, let's play the recording. Junior Achievement of Chicago and Northwest Indiana, please come up. As Junior Achievement comes up, I'd just like to say that I'm really excited about this award. This Youth Award, it kind of goes back to what Vice President Obama talked about earlier about young people and the importance of them developing critical thinking. As a person who believes in the youth, I think it's important to recognize programming that continues to facilitate that critical thinking that was spoken of, and to know that as we look towards tomorrow, especially in the climate that we live in today, the folks that are going to take us through, bring us through, and to lead us to a brighter path, I believe, are the youth that we serve today for a brighter tomorrow.
Let's get in as much as we can.
Let me hold my stomach.
All right, look right here. 3, 2, and 1. One more.
I was on your show.
Thank you so much. We are moving right along. Our next presentation is going to be the Minority Business Award, and that is going to the Blind Social Center. Would you please play the video?
17 years ago, Tony lost his sight to glaucoma, the eye disease. And after sitting for 6 years initially when he first lost his sight, you think in terms of what do we do at this point in life, being that we are mature individuals. So we sought out the different resources that was available here in Northwest Indiana, which was very few to none, I should say, because any services that you needed for visually impairment or blindness, there was only the resources in the south or either west of us, which is in Chicago, the Lighthouse, and then south of us, which is Boston Enterprises. So after we came back here, all these new life skills, we're like, okay, so what do we do now? We got all these life skills, what are we gonna do with them? So being that Tony is such a social person, because he's a general contractor all his life, and it's like, well, let's open up a center for the blind, a social center, where you can have someone to socialize with, because I can only talk so many hours a day. Use some other individuals that you can.
The Minority Business Award is going to Tony and kind Blair. Tony lost his sight due to an aggressive form of glaucoma, but he went to a 6-month rehabilitation program in Indianapolis called Bosma Enterprise. And so now they have a brand new building. August of 2014, they opened the Blind Social Center, and they are here to accept their award. Who knew that there was a Blind Social Center?
They have one in Indianapolis.
All right, here we go. 3, 2, and 1. One more. 3, 2, and 1.
Thank you so much. Next, we have the Lifetime Achievement Award. And that award is being presented to Dr. Ed Williams. He is a trailblazer, a servant leader, mentor, community advocate, North Star, ever-present, man of God, man of honor. Can we watch the video, please?
In the book of Luke, 6th chapter, 28th verse, it speaks to the fact that God gives me a certain set of talents, skills, and abilities. How I use those are gifts that I give back to Him. And whatever I give back to people, back to Him, those are the blessings of life. And that's what drives me.
Dr. Williams is the kind of man who, he's so outgoing, but he really is an introvert. But because he loves humanity so much, he makes an extra effort to be available to people. And that's something he taught me at a young age. If you're in this business, if you're in the business of trying to help community, then you must love people.
When you meet Ed, you're going to find a guy with very high integrity and honesty and compassion. And he's a true gentleman in every sense of the word. And it's someone that I've looked up to now for many years since meeting Ed. And I'm fortunate to have him as a friend and as a role model in my life.
I've never not known Ed. I mean, he's been in my life since I was in the cradle. But even as a young child, I sensed that he was an influencer. And there were qualities that we all noticed in him, even as children, that we needed to emulate. And he was someone that I looked up to, and I knew he was someone that others looked up to as well.
Ed doesn't do anything that he doesn't belong, and he is very generous with his time, with his friends, with his family, with the organizations that he serves. He's just a pillar in all those different sectors.
I think you're born with the love of service. For me, it comes very naturally. I walk into a situation always looking for how I can make it better. And the highest compliment you can ever be paid is when your colleagues recognize and want to applaud you for life of service. And I don't take that lightly. I've always tried to deliver and give my very best and make people better than when I found them.
Let's give him a round of applause. Dr. Karen, if you would come on up, please, and get in this picture. The son is here. Reverend Kelly Williams, come on up. And I'd like to thank Denise Dillard. I don't know if she's here, Denise Dillard. Come on up and get in this picture with your dad.
All right, everyone, look right here. 3, 2, and 1. One more. 3, 2, and 1.
One more. Say. Hold on, sorry. Ready?
To all of the elected officials, Mayor Melton, former Mayor Karen Freeman Wilson, to all of the other elected officials who are here, Chancellor Iwama, wonderful job as always. To all of the friends of Urban League of Northwest Indiana all, Dr. V, you know I am honored to receive this award. It will mean so much to me. It's a lifetime of caring about people, about service, and I think that that's what God wants us all to do. So when the clarion call comes out, answer. Now there are many human resource professionals who are sitting out here, many who are in positions that deal with diversity, equity, and inclusion. Perhaps one day you will stand here. And it's very simple. Prescription is very simple, very elementary. It's hard work. It's contribute more than you cost the company. Respect the company, be loyal to it, and always have a steadfast and unmovable connection with the Almighty. That is what's going to carry you when the night is dark, when the hours are long, and when others point fingers and talk about you, etc. He's the one that's going to carry you through. So when you're in your positions and you see the young mom come through, carrying a baby to an interview, don't get angry. Just do the right thing. When that young lad or laddie comes through with a blemish on a record and you're reviewing an application, do the right thing. When that vet rolls in a wheelchair, perhaps no legs, Chancellor, no arms, etc., just do the right thing. When that person in their 80s like me comes along, don't throw them out to pasture. Just do the right thing. God love all of you. Urban League of Northwest Indiana, thank you so very much.
Now we're down, last but definitely not least, we are here to celebrate the next award. It's called the Moving the Needle Award, which encompasses all of that: leadership, workforce, all of that diversity. So watch the video. The Moving the Needle Award is going to Hard Rock Casino of Northern Indiana.
We're working with multiple organizations to recruit diverse candidates. Currently, we employ 1,415 team members. We have formed 11 resources groups that promote inclusion and belonging through building support networks to enhance employee engagement. Our team member-led Culture Club group helps us step out into the community through volunteer efforts. These activities include team members helping to build homes for Habitat for Humanity, hackathons at the Food Bank of Northwest Indiana, among other things. Through our community outreach programs, we've partnered with amazing initiatives, including a $3 million donation for blight removal in downtown Gary, $500,000 to Lake Ridge New Tech Schools for new classroom furniture, and a $250,000 donation to the Urban League of Northwest Indiana for a Do Well by Doing Good scholarship at Indiana University Northwest. At Hard Rock Casino, Northern Indiana, we strive to exemplify our company mottos to love all, serve all, take time to be kind, save the planet, and to always remember that all is one.
Thank you, Dr. Vanessa. Thank you, Urban League Northwest Indiana. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. We're very honored. Joined up here by our Director of Surveillance and board member of Urban League, Mina Perez. Mina is truly one of the trailblazers at our company today. She sets the example for all of us to follow. She's an amazing leader. She's incredibly active as a board member for this wonderful organization. We're so proud to have her on our team, and I felt it's just appropriate for her to be up here with us while I just say a few words. But certainly welcome everyone here today. It's no secret empowering the social, educational, economic conditions of African Americans and other minority groups in Northwest Indiana, no doubt is a passion of Dr. Vanessa, her team at the Urban League, all of us in this room, but certainly that is the case at Hard Rock, Northern Indiana. It's been a privilege for us. It will remain a privilege for us to continue to work alongside Dr. Vanessa and her team. And it's just been a great day for us to be able to put a little bit of reality to our commitment to Northwest Indiana. Hard Rock is a company that has been around for over 53 years. Two gentlemen opened up the first Hard Rock Cafe in London 53 years ago, and they created 4 mottos of the company, and they all exist today. All is one, take time to be kind, save the planet, and love all, serve all. And might the world be a better place if everybody just followed a few or all of those mottos in their life? I think certainly those mottos 53 years ago are still very, very important in today's society. We look at this motto from a local perspective, our mission to serve the residents in our community who are most in need while demonstrating our continued support to diversity, equity, and inclusion. As mentioned in the video earlier this year, we helped Northwest Indiana turn a new page, a new chapter in Gary's future with our donation of $3 million to help revitalize the downtown Broadway corridor. Gary Mayor Eddie Melton authorized this economic development legislation when he was still an Indiana State Senator, passed in 2023, which allowed for the state to match our $3 million with their $3 million. And this was just the first, certainly important step to eliminate blight, giving the residents of Gary a renewed sense of ownership and pride in their community. We recently this year partnered with Dr. Vanessa Allen McLeod in the Urban League Northwest Indiana with the Do Well by Doing Good scholarship program. Provides a number of scholarships for high school graduates from Gary who want to attend Indiana University. We seeded it with $250,000. This remarkable initiative is ongoing. We'll continue to assist Gary's youth in the future. And it really helps them achieve their educational goals by eliminating the financial obstacle of college.
$250,000, we should clap for that.
Once this program started, this is an annual program. We want the students of Gary to pursue that secondary education if they want to, and certainly we want to eliminate that financial obstacle. And whether maintaining a diverse and inclusive workforce or creating regional events, regional menus that reflect the ethnicity and the heritage of the people who reside in this community, we reinforce the fact that we care about the people we serve. Whether it's Meals on Wheels, Sojourner Truth House, the Food Bank of Northwest Indiana, Salvation Army, those are just a few of the organizations that we support, a few organizations whose livelihoods depend on our support for its help in time of needs. And once again, on behalf of myself, Mina, the entire Hard Rock Northern Indiana family, we're incredibly honored, incredibly grateful to receive this award, and I thank you very much for being here today.
This has been a wonderful day. Thank you all for staying. We raised over $6,000. Thank you, Adrian, for doing that. I'd like to thank Ephraim. He's not here, but Strachan Dentils, we asked for all these videos, and I'm not the techie person, so he put them all on he did something. They dropped him in a box or whatever. They sent it to Joe. So thank you, Joe, the team back there. Let's give them a round of applause. Last but not least, I don't do this alone. I have, I told you, Indianapolis is large, Chicago's large, and Northwest Indiana, we're a little smaller, but we're mighty. So I need to acknowledge my staff and volunteers. Please stand up and be acknowledged. I want to thank Dr. Deborah Black for event coordinating. We're on the phone at midnight and 6 o'clock in the morning. And so if there were any glitches, please charge it to me. Amen. If anything came up wrong, just pray for us, because it's a lot putting on an event, and sometimes things just happen. We're all right? Everybody's cool, right? Everybody's okay. And then I'd like to thank Stella, who is at home, my secretary. She's not able to be with us, but she does work too. So I call her, and then Veronica's in Dallas. I call her to do things. So once you're an urban leader, you are always an urban leader. And I'd also like to acknowledge the president of the Young Professionals, Mr. Johnny Rucker. Please thank you, guys. Now, the Young Professionals are between the ages of 21 and 40. I just missed it. So 21 and 40. So if you're between the age of 21 and 40, I need to see your driver's license. You should check in with Johnny. But without further ado, thank you all for coming. I appreciate you. And be blessed and be well.